Hello! Today I'm going to go over a couple different ways that you can create stamps. So I have some stamps available for you, and at some point I'll teach you how you can even make your own stamps. But for today I went ahead and I spelled out art. You could see that the R is flipped. That's because it's a stamp, so it'll go the right way when it's flipped over. And then the A and the T are symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter. So the most classic way to make a stamp is, of course, with an ink pad. I won't always have these available for you. So but just to review, one way, of course, is that you could, if there is an ink pad. Ink pads run out really fast, and sometimes people don't treat them well. If you don't put the lid right back on it, they get dry really fast, which is one of the reasons we don't have that many. So I've got the A. Sometimes it's good to just test and try, but you can add these onto an artwork. Let's say you are making Fortnite. You can spell out Fortnite with stamps underneath it. So it even sometimes adds the edge. I think that looks cool because it makes it look printed. You are responsible for washing all of your stamps. So you're gonna need a paper towel, I forgot to say, and water, regardless of how you choose to do your stamping. So I'm gonna just dip a paper towel in a little bit into the water and then try to wash it off before I can put it back, because I don't want to make it gross for whoever does this next. All right, so that's one way to stamp. That's the most classic way. A couple other ways are, you could use paint. And I found this leftover paint. If there's paint left over from other people, please use that stuff before you get fresh paint. It helps us not to be wasteful. So I have a paintbrush, and I'm gonna take this R, and I'm gonna try to just not be sloppy painting everything. I'm just gonna paint the top of it, and I have to make sure to stamp it while it's still wet. Now, doing with paint can be really great, but sometimes it doesn't turn out as great, especially if your stamp is already wet from being cleaned. Push it down for a couple of seconds before you lift it straight up. Boop. Ah, that looks kind of neat. It looks like there's a drop shadow that went around. So again, though, I need to take the towel, try to wash it for the next guest that chooses to use it. All right, so I've showed you two different techniques. The ink pad, which is not always available, paint, and then the last one is one of my favorites, but people never think about this, is to use a marker. Use a dark marker is preferable. I'm gonna color just the top of the letter, just like I painted when I did the R. And go ahead and stamp it, or put it back in there, make sure it snaps shut. Now, to use a marker, it will not work yet. It is only gonna work when I do a special trick, and that would be to take my paper towel, get a clean part of it, dip it into the water, squeeze most of the water off, and wherever you want it to stamp, I'm gonna get the paper kind of wet. Just a little bit, not sopping wet, just a little damp. And then I could take the T on that damp piece of paper. This one's more experimental. Sometimes it looks really good, and sometimes it looks more wishy-washy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You want different qualities in your art. It's nice that things look different. Whoa, that actually worked better than, or is darker than any of them. And that one's pretty much clean because I just cleaned it on my paper, but I'll just go like that, just in case. So again, stamps are really fun because you can label your artwork. You can make this into its own artwork. Maybe you want to make like a giant alphabet project where you do A is for apple and you make an apple. I don't know. But please be tidy, be responsible for your equipment, and put things back where they should be. All right, that'll have to go on the drying rack. Happy arting!